what are we supposed to talk?
Because we didn't have the one with Charlene because it was only 2 of us.
You didn't go still?
No, we pretty much there's only me and Zainab showed up last time.
And she wasn't there.
And it was the slot we got was very late, and one of us had to go. And pretty much I just went to Charlene, and she said that you guys can just do it individually, but we are just not quite sure what to talk about when we are recording.
Yeah.
But it should be easy. We can just talk to it.
Okay, so have you recorded any discussions?
I recorded one with another group, just as a normal talk.
Okay.
But
was that for you or was it for them?
I think that's just for
all
you.
of us.
For this group, I mean.
I guess it was just me talking.
The third one, right? The third recording was for you. Yeah.
Because Fabian told us we can have conversations with any other people as well if we want to.
Yep, that's correct. So you have 3 recordings that you need to have. I'm just going to run through this and then we'll start, okay? The first one on mental and physical well-being. You can do that now because you're all here. Not right now, but after you can just sit down and have a discussion about it after you see how this goes. And then today we'll talk about social cohesion, and you still need to talk about community. Okay, that's another self-directed one. You can do that as a group, and then talk to somebody else, just so you have a record in case you don't get a conversation that you feel is in depth enough. Okay.
So how do we start? The conversation. Does that have to be our project related or?
Yeah.
So today, what are we talking about?
Today we're talking about social cohesion.
So we can just talk about how our product can make people more socially more coheted.
Yeah.
I'm going to explain it to you right now.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me take you through this journey.
Please.
Okay. We're going to figure it out. Don't worry.
Okay.
Okay. So you know the themes, you know everything. Now we're going to start the discussion. Okay. And again, I'm just here to facilitate and prompt the discussion, but I will help you, of course. But the first question that I'm asking everybody, and remember this is all the questions that I ask are related. If you could just put your social cohesion glasses on, in relation to your project, that's what they're related to, okay?
Yeah.
So, what is it? What do you think social cohesion is?
Okay, well, I feel, social cohesion from a product design point of view would be that you create a product that requires that requires connections say the public furniture task we are given, it is designed for the mass usage, right? So perhaps social cohesion would be leaving people's mark of the usage. Or no, I'm just trying to.
That's okay. Let's see.
What I think is about social cohesion is it is the relation between what we design and how people and masses interact with it. Because if I make a bench, not everybody's gonna sit on it the same way. It's not gonna be in the same context everywhere. Or it might be 6 people, it might be 4 people, or what they do on it, even what kind of food they eat on it, the activity they do. I think that has something to do with the social aspect of design, because everybody designs for almost all the furniture we design is for people. It's not for animals or whatever, but we mostly design for people, for them to use them. I think a product that isn't used isn't social, and if a product isn't used, it's pointless in my opinion.
So the very fact that a product has been used by multiple different users is one way of connecting people.
Yeah, because humans are social, and if humans are using something for being social, it becomes social itself as well.
So what do you think social cohesion is?
I think it's a reason about the product to making. So I think if we to think about the social, maybe we can think about the story behind the product. I think so.
Yeah.
There's this. I think there was this talk. Jonathan. He said something about when you're as a designer, when you're designing a product, the way you interact with the user was really just through the users' experiences of the affordances of the product. So that's pretty much the only way as a designer to communicate with the user.
Yeah, because you can't have a plaque on the chair that says you have to use it this way, this way. Affordance is a way of the product talking to people, I guess.
Yeah.
It's the way of the user interacting with it by like the clues that you leave behind for them, I guess.
I think you're all touching on it well. I basically describe it as the connectedness of how we interact as a group or a social group or a community in order to kind of generate a sense of belonging. That's what social cohesion is.
Yeah.
You take the word social, what does social mean?
Interaction.
Exactly. And
More
cohesion,
human interaction.
is
Yeah.
the connect. It's
Connection.
to connect. So
Or
social
but
connection.
I do actually have a question. When you say social, do you mean the relationship? It just means the relationship between people and people, right?
no, because we have social relationships between people and objects.
Yeah, like maybe
Interactions.
maybe on this chair I got married. So whenever I see the same thing, I'm like, oh, I got married here, so I have a
So
relationship
there's a
with the chair.
connection
as well.
in between what kind of memory you have left from that object.
Yeah.
Or like your experiences.
Yes, relationships, it's about social understandings, but social cohesion can also relate to any kind of, social injustices, political situations, and economic situations, inequalities, etc. Those things all fall under the same umbrella, social cohesion, because essentially what social cohesion addresses is relationships between communities and connectedness. Yeah. And connectedness is varied from object to person and person to person. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even with like, I'll just give a vague answer, like left or right parties or like politics. There is certain like design choices that these two make. Like the left part is like, I want to be like more modern, more minimalistic, or like more natural side of
There's
things.
an identity.
Their identity is kind of
designing.
connected, even though they're all different people.
Yep.
But on maybe the right side of things, who are like more traditional, they also like their furniture and products to be traditional. Maybe they don't want like, I remember like knit back in my days. Not like that, but
You're not that old to say that.
like I sometimes I rewatch shows that were aired in like 80s, and I see that computers or technological furniture products weren't well distributed, and they weren't seen as something must-have. So even that is, I think, a social, because social.
That's a social constraint, but it's similar to a social under the same umbrella. Yeah, essentially, because that limitation relates to someone's access to resource. Yeah. Or economic situation or socio-political. It could be any. But what I want to know now is, now we kind of have an understanding of what social cohesion is. Can you tell me about your furniture project? So what is the project?
Yeah, with our project, what we had originally was in a cafe, but what it was trying to achieve was to isolate oneself in a cafe and be able to sleep in a more like covered up, like isolated zone.
But we were suggested by Fabian that it is weird and unusual to have something to have an isolated experiences in a social environment. So that's just contradicting with each other, right? And
from that point on, we kind of misunderstood it and went on this path of making a modular project. You can sit however you want with your friends. You can arrange it yourself. And then after talking with Fabienne, what we came to the conclusion is it should still be connected to the original one. So we decided to make a lounge chair, but this time the human interacts with the chair instead of humans interacting with one chair. We still kept the modular kind of.
But I guess
experience.
I feel like the concept we've come up with right before this one was very related to this whole topic of social cohesion, because it was about the experiences of people merging chairs together
and giving them a freedom of sitting however they want with however many people. So at the end of the day, when you're leaving the cafe, there's so many different types.
Yeah, there's a constraint on the furniture that requires that mechanism of working together.
Yeah.
So we felt that was a good way to illustrate the element of social cohesion.
But now that it's about lounging and like kind of more
It's
comfort
more about
zone
personal
time.
comfort
Yeah.
zone, isn't it?
Now it's not about humans socializing with humans with the chair. It's about the person socializing with the chair directly.
Okay.
You have, so basically what it is you have the original chair
Mhm.
that is angled up to a more comfortable angle, I guess.
Mhm.
And you have 3 or 2 pieces that comes after that you can take off. You can create a table with it. You can build to put 2 on top of each other, create a wall with it.
So I guess there's a decision making for the user while
Yeah.
using that product. I'm still not entirely sure what social cohesion means in design, but I feel like that relationship where a user needs to make a decision on how I'm going to utilize each part of the product, that there's a communication between the user and the product itself.
Yeah.
And I do you think that can be categorized as part of the social cohesion
Yep.
between the product and the user?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, that's it. Social cohesion is basically a way. How can I describe that? Is the way that you situate what you design. Think of it that way.
Ah.
Yeah. What's the context and what considerations have you made in relation to the way people interact or inhabit or experience?
So it can
the
be very
object?
individual. It can be designed for tailored for one type of user.
As long as as long as that's clear.
So it's more about
Yeah.
the relationship between that product and the user. Okay.
Even
Yeah.
with people, let's say in a wheelchair,
Mhm.
isn't designing for them also
Mhm.
putting it in a context with
Mhm.
social? Because I mean, I think that also is involved in the social well-being and social, not social, but mental or like physical well-being part of it.
Yeah.
Because you design different for the different population.
You need to know the needs of
Yeah.
the object. But that's why I asked you what's the project, so you can tell me, so that I can then ask you what's the context.
Well, the context is a cafe, and the concept to be honest, the concept we're given were rather vague. But what we have diluted is that they want to achieve this sense. They want to amplify the sense of coziness when
Yeah.
sitting in a cafe.
And,
Okay.
yeah, sorry about that. And when you have the complete freedom to arrange
Mhm.
the lounger however you want,
Mhm.
we want the user to achieve the utmost comfort that in the way that they want to achieve it. It's in a cafe, people might want to read. Bam, a table.
Pretty much.
What type of cafe?
What type of cafe?
What scale of cafe?
What we are imagining.
A reading, like those reading cafes where it's
Mhm.
like kind of a library,
Mhm.
but it's also has coffee
Mhm.
and like sitting areas.
Okay. Yeah. Great. Good. So you already have an understanding of what type of people are going there. That's the next thing.
Yeah.
So all you're doing is putting. I don't know. I'm gonna give you the 12 glasses analogy that I just made up today. If you imagine this as your object that you're designing, right? And remember, we're thinking like with our social cohesion glasses on, and that's the object that you've designed. So in order for you to really get an in-depth understanding of it, and actually what the brief is asking you to do, is to consider the possibilities of how it is interacted with or responded to in the context that you place it. So what you need to do is to be able to justify through your transcriptions or through your discussions and writing how you have made considerations to this designed object before reaching the designed object. Do you know what I mean? So if
I'm not really entirely sure what you just said.
I'm going to explain that now.
Okay.
So it's the process.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sorry.
So here's the object, this is the outcome, this is the final outcome that you're getting to, okay? But before I get here, what I need to do is get my 12 glasses, position myself around this thing entirely to get a perspective from every angle, but each perspective is different because you're addressing a different concern. You might be looking at the context. That context might be on a macro scale. So if you're saying cafes, maybe you're saying cafes in London, and then you look again and you're saying, no, actually, cafes in North London. No, actually, not cafes in North London. Cafes in maybe like franchised North London cafes, right? Which is different to individual cafe that you were talking about with the library and the coffee space, right?
Yeah.
Different users of people. People who go to franchise cafes, sometimes they're usually passing really quickly and they're not actually stopping to rest.
Yeah, like Starbucks.
Exactly, and that's exactly why I go to Starbucks. I'm not going there to have an enjoyable time.
Like more corner coffee shops.
Exactly.
Are like preferred when it's about sitting
Mhm.
and talking or like
So-
studying.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just repeating